Hey there! Thanks for joining another episode of Real Talk with Rachel. I'm Rachel Toms, realtor with Keller Williams, and I'm here with Rachel Smith of Reems Creek Pottery. She is the founder, and I'm so excited to learn about the collective. I would consider it a collective. It's more than one artist, and I'm so excited to learn more about it and hear how we can help support you.
Well, we were founded about a year before I retired from industry, and my industry was carpet and steel products. Many people are familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I had been doing pottery in the River Arts District, but wanted something in Weaverville. And there was no community studios in Weaverville at all. There were individual potters, and maybe they shared space with somebody else, but there were no community studios in Weaverville. So a space became available in this building that I own with my brother. And I said, can I make this work? And it took some head scratching, but then I finally figured out how to make this work, to bring in a community of potters so that we can share kilns and slab rollers and the sales gallery and responsibilities. So we're not really a co-op. We're not organized as a co-op, but we are a co-op. We work together for the better good.
Gotcha. And I think you said you've got, is it 7 potters?
We have 7 potters here,
Okay.
So and everybody gets their own unique pottery studio space that is theirs.
Oh, okay.
And then we have shared areas, community areas.
Gotcha. So right now we're sitting in your space?
We're sitting in my space. Yes, I do have the largest space.
Well, that makes sense. You're the founder. You're the creative.
I also have the brooms, as you can see back there, as part of my space.
You know, tidiness is important. So
yes,
I respect
especially
that.
in a pottery studio. The dust can be very not good for you. So,
gotcha.
So we have really grown. In the beginning, we just barely had a sign out on the front on Reems Creek Road, and I really do need to redo our sign, but that's not quite in the budget yet. Come on and buy some pottery so that I can redo our sign, because I really want to. I have plans, but it's really exciting to be part of the Weaverville community where I have lived for 35 years. My mother was a native Ashevillean, and that's kind of how I ended up back here, because she and my dad retired here. And so I ended up joining them down here. And I love Asheville. Spent all my childhood vacations in Asheville.
Yeah.
And love Weaverville. Had an uncle and aunt that lived down Roberts Cove Road towards the end of Reems Creek Road. So
beautiful.
This has been part of my vibe for so long, and I really love being in Weaverville. We just, everybody supports each other. I know all the artists in Weaverville. I know a lot of their hours. And so if somebody's looking for glass, for instance, I'll say, oh, you need to go to Crucible Glass Works. And if somebody's looking for a type of pottery that none of us make, I might say, oh, go to Salvatierra or go here or there. But we try to totally cross support everybody in Weaverville. And to that end, what's been really cool is that we got selected to be part of the Blue Ridge Craft Trails. That's going to be backwards.
But anyways, take a picture of that. That's okay.
But Blue Ridge Craft Trails, there's not that many organizations or artists in here yet, but we are all vetted. We had to be somebody had to say, yes, we want you part of Blue Ridge Craft Trails, and then they came out and vetted us. We had this huge long application. They had to check that our what our studio looked like, whether or not it was handicapped accessible, what type of work we were doing.
Cool.
And so it's really cool because you can go around, I think it's 17 counties. You can go online and look at blueridgecrafttrails.com, and you can learn about different places that you can go and see crafts or go to galleries.
So that's really cool. Is it, there's not a specific tour, it's something you can,
they have some specific tours, like in Hendersonville, I think they've created a tour, and they want to create more tours.
Okay.
But it is all totally self-guided.
Okay, so you could go any day of the week as long as they're open and visit everybody. Oh, that is so neat. I'll definitely add that to the website so people can learn more about that.
So one of the other things too is being part of a community of crafters.
Yeah.
We do participate in the Weaverville Art Safari in the spring and the fall. We didn't initially because we were just barely getting going, and we hadn't really found our voice. But when we're part of Weaverville Art Safari, we also host visiting artists.
Okay.
So we have hosted quite a few different visiting artists through the years.
Okay.
And we're going to have some visiting artists with us in November.
So when you have a visiting artist, does that mean that they come display their work here, or what does that mean exactly?
It means that, well, it has been in here. This time it's going to be more like outside.
Okay.
But they are they have their own 10 by 10 tent, and they're selling and displaying their work and talking with people. And as a visiting artist, they are juried by us because they are because they're not necessarily from Weaverville. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
We can bring in a lot of different people. And then
Did you say November?
November 5th and 6th this year.
November 5th and 6th. Okay.
For the
great.
next one. And then we also, it's like April and November every year.
Okay, wonderful.
And then another thing that we did, it was maybe about 8 months into quarantine time, and people were beginning to open up just a smidge. We realized that many crafters were unable, all the craft events were canceled everywhere.
Yeah.
And there was nothing going on anywhere.
Yeah.
So I started having pop-up craft events in our parking lot. We have a huge parking lot, and everybody got 10 by 10 tent. I mean, they had to bring their own tent, but 10 by 10 space. We had 10 feet between every booth, and everybody had to wear masks and use hand sanitizer and all that. And we started having pop-ups.
So cool.
And then as things started getting more open, I was like, oh, well, we don't need to do pop-ups anymore because what the heck, there are lots of other events going on. But I also found out that we were supporting a lot of very small crafters, mostly in the Weaverville area. The first few that I got to that became part of this were people I posted in a Facebook group called Women of Weaverville.
Yeah.
And I said, does anybody want to participate in this event?
Yeah.
And people were like, yeah.
Oh.
And I charge a very nominal amount of money, just very nominal, to pay for the advertising and paper goods and stuff that we use. And then it's kind of grown a bit, and every time I say I'm not going to do it anymore, people go, what? You got to do it again. So this next one that we're doing, our next pop-up, comes out of being in Seagrove, which is the Potter's Heaven in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I was there last October, and they had pumpkin patch days every Saturday in October. And I was like, oh my goodness, we could do our own pumpkin patch.
That is too cute. So it's going to be a pumpkin patch pop-up?
Pottery pumpkin patch.
Pumpkin patch.
And pop-up craft market.
Awesome. And that is, let's see here,
October the 8th from 10 to 4.
Great. I'll post that on the website too so people can come visit you.
Thank you. And we're going to we usually have anywhere from 10 to 12 craft vendors in the parking lot. I don't want it to be too many to be overflowing. I want everyone to be able to, talk with people and have a nice thing. And hopefully all the pumpkins will be outside. One person has made 1,000 mini pumpkins already.
1,000 mini pumpkins.
She sold that many last year at other events.
Wow.
And I've been making big pumpkins, little pumpkins.
I think I see a pumpkin back here.
Yeah.
Cute.
So we're I think I'm up to 50 pumpkins that I've made.
Wow.
And people just love pottery pumpkins. So we are going to be trying a pottery pumpkin patch.
Oh, okay. So I got it now. I thought it was going to be all types of different crafts, but I think what I'm understanding is it's all going to be pottery pumpkins.
Well, for us, we're focusing on our pottery pumpkins.
Okay.
But it will be all different types of crafts for all the different vendors. But I am asking them to try to bring fall colors. And I've got 2 people that are doing knit pumpkins.
Aww.
And somebody else is doing, I think, some stuffed pumpkins, some cloth ones.
Yeah.
So there will be all different types of things in addition to our normal winners.
Yeah, that is too fun. So are you still accepting vendors if people wanted to participate in this?
I think we're pretty well full.
Okay.
I have a pretty good list right now.
Do you know when your next pop-up will be?
No.
Okay.
I plan on I always say I'm not doing another one, and then I end up doing another one. Now that Weaverville Art Safari is happening again in April and November, I don't know if I would do another one again until next fall, because the spring one I did this year didn't do that well because we had Art Safari.
Right. Oh, okay. I see.
So I have to plus it was really bad weather, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows if it really would have done well or not.
Who knows if it really would have done well or not. So that is, I think I am retired. As I said, I'm retired from industry, and I do this for fun.
I was going to ask, so you're very passionate and you're emulating this kind of sense of community and supporting one another, which is totally Weaverville. But how did you get into pottery?
Oh, so many years ago, 48 to be exact,
Okay.
one of the wedding presents my husband and I received was a set of pottery coffee mugs. I still have them, even though I don't use them anymore. They're not exactly my style. I still have these mugs. They have moved 15 times, and I still have them. No chips, no cracks, no nothing.
Wow, wow.
So when I was at University of Maine, they would have crafts fairs, and my husband and I would poke around, and we would buy pottery as gifts for other people.
Yep.
But I discovered that the other people didn't enjoy the pottery as much as I did.
Really?
So I
I
was
hate
like,
to hear that.
well, it's a long story. It's family, and
Gotcha.
it was my passion. I just loved it.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so through the years, I started buying a lot of pottery for myself. I have pottery all over my house, but mostly functional, quite a few larger decorative pieces.
Okay.
And so then about 20 years ago, my Odyssey Playworks in Asheville had just opened
Yeah.
up, and they were doing classes.
Yeah.
And I was gifted a class for Christmas,
Nice.
and I loved it. Forward 10 years to my second class.
Wow. So you took the first one, and then it wasn't for 10 more years.
That
until
I took another
Wow,
class
okay.
when a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm taking these classes at AB Tech. Would you like to join me?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And so then I started taking classes, and I became part of Squeaky Wheel Potter's Studio in the River Arts District, which is a true not-for-profit community studio.
Oh, okay.
And there were 20 potters in there, and I loved it. And we did a lot of workshops, a lot of hands-on things, and I was in an industry where you had to be accurate to a 64th of an inch, and everything was just sew and building codes and stressed out people.
Yeah.
And so pottery became my go-to, that I could just have things that weren't so accurate and just kind of having a lot more fun with it. And that was my stress relief.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm getting ready to retire, but I don't want to be going into Asheville anymore to do pottery. So what else can I do? So I had
There you
to.
go.
I had never run my own kiln. I had never purchased the equipment, but I learned a lot while I was at Squeaky Wheel. I was on the board. I attended every meeting. I learned as much as I could.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
So
So
it's
you
been
jumped into this.
I jumped.
It was a passion of the heart. It became a business venture.
and sometimes a little bit too much of a business venture. I think one of your questions was something about like, what has surprised you most when owning a business?
Yeah, I was going to ask because it's
So I had owned a manufacturing firm for 30
you
years.
did? Okay, so you had the business savvy already.
I did, and what I've had to do is I've had to say, I do a lot of the paperwork at home, and when I come in here, I spend 15 or 20 minutes futzing over whatever needs to be futzed over, whether it's the sales book or something, like, you know, whatever. I need to do some record keeping, and then I'm a potter. I don't want to be a business owner after that.
Yeah, so you
So-
kind of get business out of the way, and then you have
Of course, obviously, if somebody walks in, we all share making
Sure.
sales and talking with people. But I didn't want to be. I don't want to be having my business hat on all day long.
Yeah, because that can be exhausting.
So if somebody if I need to talk with one of the potters about some stuff that's going on, whatever, I want to do that first thing. I want to get that out of the way, clear the air, or whatever needs to be dealt with, and then go on from there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If there's money involved, I want to deal with it then, put it aside, throw it in my purse, take it home when I get home. But I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing, like when I'm arranging a pop-up, I do that at night,
Okay.
but I don't want to be doing that from in here.
So you're almost protecting your creative space.
I do.
Okay.
That's a good way
That's
of putting
smart.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
because
kind of have to. As a business owner, you wear all these hats.
Yeah.
And if you're also participating in the trade, like you are, you really do have to protect that time to be
so like
creative.
even like my Facebook posts and my Instagram posts, I will do those first thing in the morning.
Smart.
I will take the pictures, I will do the posts, I will get that out of the way. Otherwise, all day long, I'm thinking, I really need to do a Facebook post. And then that's all on my head all day long. I don't want that on my head all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, smart. So you mentioned Facebook and Instagram. Is that how people can find out more about
So
the
Reems Creek
studio?
Pottery has a Facebook page, and I personally have an Instagram page.
Okay.
So Instagram is Pottery by Rachel, and the reason I have separated it this way is that for Reems Creek Pottery, I post pictures of everybody's work, and I talk about
Gotcha.
everything that's going on. We just got some new work out. We just had somebody brought some cards in that we're selling. We're having an event. But I realized Instagram was a great way to see other potters' work and to be noticed and things like that. So I decided Instagram was my own personal, that I was not Instagramming for the whole studio.
Okay.
So if I go on vacation, I see some awesome pottery and I post a picture of it, that's going to go on Instagram. That's
Gotcha.
going to be like something I saw that, or when I went to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, oh my gosh. Anyways,
wow.
and how inspiring that was to me, then that's a personal thing.
Okay, so I see. So if you viewers want to learn about the whole studio, go to Facebook. But if you're more interested in following Pottery by Rachel, Instagram is the avenue.
Instagram is the place to go. Yeah.
Great. And as for physically coming into the studio, can you tell us your hours, or what you try to have as your hours?
So we now that we have some more people that are here quite often during the day, our hours are about 9:30 to 4 every day, Monday to Saturday.
Okay.
We are not officially open on Sundays. Sometimes somebody will come in to do some work. Typically, they're not open. They don't have the studio open. But if you bang on the door and you see someone here, they might open it for you. They will open it for you. We try to be fully staffed like that. But like there's a show with a big convention we're all going to in March. So there may be 3 or 4 days when there's nobody here at all.
Okay.
Because we're all going to be at this convention, and we'll try to post that on.
And you'll post that on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll
if there's
post that on
closures.
Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And sometimes it's just so coincidentally that we all have appointments in the morning, but
Right.
but we do try to be pretty much open those times.
Yeah, because you guys are humans. And humans have other things in their
And
lives.
things happen.
And
like,
things happen.
Like we think somebody's coming in, but maybe their cat got sick.
Yeah, well, and that's reasonable because we're all human.
And we don't, because we're all cooperatively, I don't keep a schedule of who's staffing the front desk. We just all pitch in.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be that formal.
Yeah.
I don't want there to be a lot of lists and formality. Okay, who's going to be here this day and this day and this day? If we're not here, we're not here. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. If you're not here, so if people are driving by, is there a sign you put out?
We have a sign on the road, and then
Okay.
a sign goes above it that says gallery open.
And that's how you know.
And that's
that
how we know.
somebody's
We
there.
also have a lit sign on our front window that says open.
Okay,
So, yeah.
great. So that's some clues for
Some
when you
clues.
can stop in. It's
and it
really
should mostly
cool.
be open. And we have upfront parking. So even if it's pouring rain, you're only like 6 feet from the door.
Yes, and that's awesome. I actually didn't know where to park, but then I saw the studio and I parked right in front and walked right in. So,
There you go.
Yeah, it's very accessible.
And it's handicapped accessible too.
Which is really important. So yeah, and it's a really cool
Unfortunately,
studio.
our bathroom is not handicapped accessible, but the gallery is.
But the gallery is. Okay,
Yes.
that's important to know. Thank you for making that point. So we've learned a lot about your business and a little bit about you. In closing, would you be open to sharing something that people may not know about you? Something kind of fun, interesting? Anything?
Well, I think everyone already figured out that I've been married 48 years, which is
pretty cool.
to the same person.
I like that caveat.
I think I love to travel. So
Yeah.
I have brought back pottery from Italy, Portugal, and New Zealand. Going overseas again this December, so who knows what I'll bring back then.
Oh.
Usually small pieces. I do have a coffee mug from New Zealand. I love to travel. I love to be inspired by other cultures and other people, and I love just to help other people succeed.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for me, is having this space. We are all living in Weaverville except for one person who lives in Asheville, but all the rest of us live in Weaverville.
Love it.
So I really like the idea that we can be inspiring to each other, and potters are so great about sharing information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would ever want a studio by myself, because pottery is a community.
Yeah.
by itself. I mean, the pottery community is awesome. We have Clay Club where we get together once a month.
Aww.
And I love that. I love being part of a community.
Is that with the artists in the studio or
The Clay
all
Club
different
is Western
artists?
North Carolina.
That's cool. I can imagine that you get together and then it sparks creativity and ideas and there's like a synergistic energy going on.
Yeah, and I love to learn. I just came from a
Okay.
3-day workshop in right outside Burnsville at a place called Double Island Studio.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar. I
with
love
Liz-
Burnsville.
with Liz Slott Summerfield, and I love taking workshops. I love learning. I love sharing the information.
Mm-hmm.
I had learned how to do terra sigillata, and I shared it with somebody
that?
else.
Now you're gonna have to tell us.
It's just another surface decoration.
Oh, okay.
And I came back and I showed somebody else how to do it and how to burnish the pots after we did that. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is so much fun!" So I want
Oh.
to share what I learned.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
that's part of it. And I come from a family that was very community minded in Asheville. Ask me about that some other day.
Of course.
But if anybody wants to know, just look up Karpen, Karpen. Google that, and you will learn a lot about my parents.
Awesome.
So
Well, again, Rachel,
Thank
it's been
you so much.
delightful.
This has been
Of
fun.
course. Thank you
Yes.
so much. And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Reems Creek Pottery. We are a community of 7 ceramic artists, and all the pottery you see is made right here by our ceramic artists. Some of us are hobby, some of us are full-time. So as we go around the studio, you'll see a lot of different styles and designs. This is Laura's over here of Mud High Pottery, and I'm Pottery by Rachel, and I like to work with pieces that are reminiscent of sharing at a family meal. So I would do things like bowls that you would put food in and pass at a family meal, because that's what I think of when I think of pottery and sharing. And then we have Erin and Travis, that are our husband and wife team. They don't work on the pieces together, but they share a studio space. And they really like to do mugs and noodle bowls and some very large decorative pieces. Tori over here, Tori Motyl, she is our full-time potter, and she's in many galleries throughout Western North Carolina. This is some of her work here, and she also likes to work in wild clay that she has dug herself.
Can you tell us what wild clay is?
Basically, she just goes out in the wilds and digs clay and minimally processes it. So the clay that you see in most of our pieces has been processed by a manufacturer. So it's got clay in it, but also has talc and other things, so that every bag is the same. Wild clay, every dig is going to be totally different.
That is so cool.
And then here we have Elaine, which is Murder Mittens Pottery. I won't go into the long story about how it got to be Murder Mittens Pottery, but I think that the logo is so cute.
Okay, you kind of have to now.
No,
Murder
no.
Mittens. Okay.
But let's just
Visit
say-
the website, right?
Let's just say that they have a lot of cats.
Gotcha.
Cause of murder. And then this over here is Morgan's. And this is the only pottery that is not made in-house, but Morgan works here as a studio assistant to Tori. And this is all reminiscent of the 1700s, I believe. And it's all made with porcelain, and all the designs she has drawn herself. So it's a totally different style. So as you walk around the studio, you'll see that we have a lot of different work in process here. Erin and Travis are glazing, and they're back there working and doing whatever they're doing right now. We have shared kilns, shared drying areas. Laura is working on some ornaments right now for a large order that she has. So she's cleaning up some angel wings.
Oh, sweet.
And then my studio space is back here. And this is where I do my hand building and my glazing. And I also, we also do some classes. So
Oh, could you tell us more about the classes?
the only classes that we offer are basically one-on-one or two-on-one, where 2 people would come in and we would either hand build for an hour, or they would work with Tori for an hour and throw in a piece.
Awesome. And do you just contact
We have
you
contact,
or who? Okay.
either Tori or myself, or they can send a message through Reems Creek Pottery Facebook page.
Awesome. Very cool.